members of our Congress, you will always have, within our government, those that are above the law. Hey, it's me. Now it turns out that lawyers for Michael Flynn gave out information that showed how this so-called lie to the FBI originated. They said Andrew McCabe, who was on the Hillary payroll, was asking Michael Flynn, hey, let's have a meeting, a small informal meeting. It's just going to take a couple of minutes. You don't need any lawyers. And they were acting like friends. And Michael Flynn was naive, and yeah, he was there babbling to these guys, and he thought they were on the good side. But then that meeting also had Peter Strzok, also on the Hillary payroll, and they were trapping the guy. So he lied about, meeting the Russian ambassador. And when I heard that, of course, right away I'm thinking about Jeff Sessions, who in Congress was caught, not remembering or not saying that he met that Russian ambassador. And so it's easy to imagine that Andrew McCabe or Peter Strzok or someone at the DOJ, for example, told Jeff Sessions that he could be Michael Flynn. And so you can call it cowardice, but Jeff Sessions recused himself and then kind of stood down the whole time, afraid to be Michael Flynn. Because, as you can see, for all this time now, Michael Flynn is facing harsh times and, going bankrupt and facing jail, all of that, only to be squeezed by the FBI and Robert Muller. And that's how they do it. I mean, they try to trap someone, and then they squeeze that person, because Michael Flynn, you can argue, he had deals going on with Turkey or whatnot, and he lied to Vice President Pence. So I'm not a fan of Michael Flynn, but I'm certainly not a fan of Andrew McCabe and Peter Strzok and the whole Spygate story. And we're talking about dirty cops here. What Andrew McCabe and Peter Strzok did is the equivalent of planting a gun at the scene of crime, and maybe they're covering themselves. Maybe they're doing the dirty work for Hillary Clinton or for Spygate. You just never know. But if you look at Robert Mueller, he's doing much the same with some of these other people. And it is a crying shame that they're getting away with it, at least for now. And so you see rat boy Michael Cohen is now going to jail for 3 years, starting in March, 3 years in jail. And that's what you get for ratting out President Trump, then getting a Clinton lawyer, Lanny Davis. And this Clinton lawyer says he made a terrible mistake, but again, Michael Cohen was squeezed for information, and then they put him in jail for a long time. And I'm telling you that Lanny Davis, the Hillary Clinton lawyer, made that mistake on purpose, so that Robert Mueller could say, hey, he didn't agree, so okay, have this guy imprisoned for a long time. And again, it's like people are naive. You have smiling faces. Hey, Andy McCabe, FBI, I love you, man. You're one cool guy. Or, hey, Robert Mueller, full of honor and integrity, right? A man you can trust. And Lanny Davis, right? He's like a gentle grandpa, but he's a snake. And so the snake got rid of the rat, who's now going to go to jail for 3 years. But good riddance, right? Because even President Trump never trusted Michael Cohen. He was kind of an errand boy. Because I remember way back when the Trump dossier first came out, it mentioned that Michael Cohen went to Prague. And I distinctly remember President Trump or then president-elect, or candidate, I forgot, saying that he asked Michael Cohen to give his passport so that Donald Trump could personally check that guy's passport to see if he went to Prague, which shows you that President Trump never trusted Michael Cohen. Otherwise, he would have known that he didn't go, or just Michael Cohen saying, I didn't go, that would be enough. No. President Trump needs to see the passport. It's like, Michael, give me your passport. And he's checking it. So, and that's, way back when, so people assume that President Trump is like Michael Flynn, or Jeff Sessions, or even Michael Cohen, trusting this Lanny Davis guy. I mean, who the hell is going to trust a Clinton lawyer? I mean, that's insane. Well, President Trump is not naive, and he has experience with a lot of crooked lawyers, and Michael Cohen is just one of them. He knows. So he's not going to step into those pitfalls or come out saying something stupid. But that's really what these people hope for. And so we come to this whole hoax, the Muller probe, the SDNY probe. It's basically a lot of people, a lot of failed lawyers going after Trump. But it's amazing, and some of you made members at the Trump Mafia headquarters notice this. I mean, they're always going for the image of the whole thing, because when you hear the media talking about the Muller probe, it's like 6 indictments and people serving prison term, Manafort, and soon Michael Flynn and Michael Cohen, the personal lawyer of President Trump, and we have 30 indictments. And look at the Trump campaign. I mean, we're talking about criminals here. But if you really look at every single indictment or charge, we're talking about tax evasion. I mean, Michael Cohen did what Manafort did, a type of tax evasion and other scams, and he lied to banks and all of that, just like Paul Manafort, and they're both going to jail. It has nothing to do with the Trump campaign, but yet when you see the media reporting on it, it's all like, wow, they must have done something. I mean, we're talking about a criminal campaign, and the head of that campaign, the candidate, became president. I mean, that is evil. I can just imagine that is what the media is peddling. And you look at everybody else, it's the FBI trapping people. It's called entrapment and process crimes. So none of those crimes occurred before President Trump was inaugurated. It happened afterwards, or while he was president-elect, meaning they have conversations specifically to entrap people, to have a crime. And when they have the hooks in these people and they start to squeeze them, but that's what you do to real criminals, not to people that are innocent. That's why it's an abuse of power, and it's an abuse of the law, and also the FBI and the DOJ. I mean, it is sickening that this is happening, but these people are sickening. And so if you look at the ghost indictments, like Russian trolls, right, 10, 14, I mean, some trolls that will never be extradited, or it doesn't even matter, right? We're talking about trolls here. People online saying Trump is the God Emperor King and Hillary sucks. I mean, what's that, right? Ooh, Russian collusion. I mean, it's so pathetic. But it pads the numbers, right? It's another 14 indictments. So the total number makes it seem like the Trump campaign was riddled and the Mueller probe is highly successful. But if that wasn't enough, then you have Mueller coming out with 10 Russian intelligence officers, and it's the same list that they've had for 10 years. Those people are known from the GRU or whatnot, and it's just a list of people. I mean, they're not going to be in court, they're not going to be jailed. I mean, it's just like saying Mickey Mouse and Bart Simpson indicted. It doesn't mean anything. But when you look at the numbers, there's another 10 people indicted. So just for those 2 ghost indictment lists, you have like 25 people indicted. And then you add all the others, it's like 35 people indicted. 7 people pleaded guilty. 3 people are going to jail. One of them for 3 years. And it makes it look like the whole Trump campaign was riddled with people colluding with Russia and, like a criminal enterprise, a Trump campaign. I mean, it's sickening. That is what they want. It's the appearance. Because if you really look at it, it's a bunch of BS. Just like those 13 girls that claim Trump sexually abused them. If you look at one of them, she was saying, Trump walked by me and he brushed my shoulder and, it was meant in a sexual way or something like that, and people looking for attention or, some woman scorned. And if you really look at the individual 13 women, it's all bogus. It's all bogus. And it's so sad because, again, on paper it's 13 girls or 13 women accusing Trump. So people out there, they must think, wow, 13. If even 3 of them are telling the truth, that's 3. And the same with the indictments or people going to jail. People in general will think, well, maybe, yeah, the Trump campaign may have had a lot of criminals in it, and maybe Trump himself is guilty. He should have known, or he may have known, or he did know, and that's what we're talking about. It's another one of those media or liberal house of cards, and it's all bogus. And it's really sad, because that's not reality. I don't see that as reality. I see that as a construct. I see that as a hoax. And that's what it is. And so that's one part of taking Trump down. It's really to create this reenactment of Watergate. And, they're starting to mention Watergate a lot, as I predicted. And it's a conspiracy, and a lot of people involved. Individual one. And eventually, they will just, even if they don't impeach Trump, they will make it seem like he should have been impeached, because he's a criminal. But not only that, you have a president of the United States, and, all of these people are making the whole left come out and chant that Trump is a criminal or whatnot. And it's dividing the country. It's not good, and these people are evil. There's no other way to characterize it. These people are evil. But what is also very evil is this downturn of the economy that people are hoping for, wishing for, and I believe they're making it happen. And, Matt Drudge in his Drudge Report has been paid off, obviously, because he's the one trying to spread that, as well as many people in the investment banks. You have an amazing Trump economy. Not only do you have Choco coming out saying, I did it. It's like, no, Choco, you did not build that. It was President Trump. But you have all these other people, and instead of saying, yeah, this economy is great, and, it can be even better, they're talking it down every single day now. And that's what they did in the last Bush years, W. Bush, because what they want is a recession before 2020, so that there's a culmination of the whole Watergate and Trump as a criminal. Then you have the economy downturn, and the Trump economy was weak, it was always fake, it was never real, because the media is trying very hard to hide the good numbers, which is kind of strange. If you have Choco coming out claiming credit for it, then you have the other half of the liberal media saying that the economy isn't great. And then you have the third element of all of this, and that is the enemy within. And I'm not going to talk about it in this video. Amazing, right? I talked about it enough, and you know what I'm talking about. And so it's going to be this combination of things, and I just heard a Rush Limbaugh commentary like yesterday, and I forgot, it was like the day before or whatnot, and he was saying that they really want to push the Trump approval down to like the 30s, and it's fake to begin with, right? He's like at 55 or 60, and the real number is never shown, but their fake number, they want to push it down even more. Now it's like 50, so they want to push it down to 35, and they need that, said Rush Limbaugh. But I think that's just the result anyway of what I said before. The whole criminality, the Watergate hoax, and then the downturn of the economy. And then it's kind of fed by a lot of people trying to cause division in the Trump support. You know, hey, he's not really doing well, and maybe he's tweeting too much, and maybe he's spending too much money, and maybe he's not that good, or maybe he's secretly on the Democrat side. Because if you can sell fake news to these people that, there's some Q out there that is actually Trump secretly posting messages in top secret communications with internet trolls, then you can also make them believe that Trump was working with the Democrats all along, and that this whole Muller thing, it's a plan, to really destroy the conservative movement. People will believe it because it's fake news. So I don't worry about the re-election of Trump, but I know it's going to be very ugly. It's going to be very ugly. And not so much of what the left is doing, but if you have people actively trying to cause a recession, that's evil. When you have a whole bunch of corrupt officials, including people at the FBI, entrapping people to catch them in lies or whatnot, and to intimidate them, just to have this hoax constructed that Trump is a bad guy. I mean, that's all very evil. And then by contrast, the American people see that Andrew McCabe's not prosecuted yet, James Comey, Peter Strzok, John Brennan, James Clapper, Choco, Hillary, John Kerry, and even see them dancing there at some party. And why is John Kerry even there with Hillary at some millionaire's party dancing? It's because they're the shadow government. You have Choco, Valerie Jarrett, John Kerry, John Brennan, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, and all related personnel, and a bunch of lawyers, and they're running a shadow government. And they're going overseas to South Africa, to Denmark, to Sweden, to France, to Italy, and you name it, now India. And what John Kerry and Choco and all of these people are telling world leaders, because eventually they will meet them, is that just wait, Trump is going to be removed and we're going to get back on track. So, just give your funds to the Choco Foundation and, of course, the Clinton Foundation. And, we're going to remember that when we get power back. So they're really going around the world saying, don't worry that Trump's going to be gone very quickly and we'll be back. And John Kerry, Hillary Clinton, they really feel like they will still have power very soon. And they're probably hoping in 2021. But it's not going to happen. But still, they go around acting like it will happen. And it hurts the American people to see the duality, the contrast of criminals walking free, laughing, dancing, and trying to destroy our nation and undermine a great president, now even undermining the great economy, trying to cause a recession, going after innocents, squeezing them, bankrupting them, which is very similar to the IRS going after Tea Party groups during the Choco years. And on the other side you have Trump under attack every day, a lot of traitors, a lot of turncoats, but he has some great people and, doing amazing things for our nation. I mean, the list of accomplishments, it boggles the mind. Just in a year and a half, the list is long and very distinguished, and you have some big hits there, and the rest of it is not reported much, but all of this really helps our nation. Now, you do have elements within the GOP, and they may also feel like maybe Trump won't be around in 2021, and they're kind of hedging their bets. But not Mitch McConnell, not Lindsey Graham. They're pretty much on board. So they see something that I see, and that is Trump is going to be reelected, and you see it. But some people in the GOP, in the dark corners of the GOP frat rooms where they smoke the big cigars and have drink some cognac. I mean, that's where you're saying, maybe that Trump guy won't be around longer. And of course, libs are saying this every single day now. But some people in the GOP are like that, and they don't mind getting more conservative judges, 85 now, or have the Supreme Court be more conservative, but many of them still don't want Trump, and they're part-time Trump supporters, fake Trump supporters, or never Trumpers. And in the media, likewise, in the right media. But I will tell you that the core of people that really matter in the GOP, they're pro-Trump. I mean, they're on the Trump train. Even Lindsey Graham and Uguay, Mitch McConnell, are doing things that, you couldn't imagine before. It just happened. Mitch McConnell supporting the criminal reform bill. I mean, I didn't even expect that. I mean, he came in with a three-pointer. It's a clutch shot. And, wow, he really did it for Trump. Trump said, let's do it. And Uguay said, okay. And Lindsey Graham's out there. He's all for the wall now. He's all for tariffs. And he's reinventing himself. And he's still the old Lindsey Graham. So don't trust or love any politician. These people can turn like the wind, right? But he does realize without McDead, he is dead. Meaning, he's a nobody. So you need to attach yourself. And he's done a good job. Suddenly people love Lindsey Graham. Just a mistake, right? Don't fall in love with politicians. But I've said even long ago, Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell are doing a good job. And those that criticize Uguay and Lindsey Graham still, okay, fine, but sometimes I also feel like they're being criticized because they've been helping Trump. And some people in the GOP, as I mentioned, don't like it. And of course, liberals in the media don't like it. And as Lindsey Graham said, I don't give a shit. And that's the attitude now. Because if you look at the meeting with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck and Mike Pence, was very cool, and libs are saying he was falling asleep, but no, he was giving the stare of death to Nancy and Chuck, backing up the president. And President Trump, of course, there in the meeting was awesome, really exposing them as being anti-border security, not even caring about border security, and all these criminals and drugs pouring across the border. I will tell you that a lot of people saw Nancy Pelosi and Chuck being very rude to a sitting president. It doesn't even matter if it's Trump or anyone else. I mean, the finger pointing and acting like children. I mean, it was so bad for the image of Democrats. Of course, radicals are like, yeah, they really made that orange guy look like an idiot. But they couldn't be more wrong. Most American people look at that clip and they cannot believe that this little granny and this old geezer, Chuck, would be so rude, in the White House, in the Oval Office. I mean, that's disgusting. And that's what kind of people we're dealing with here. They're disgusting and evil. And so it's quite a challenge to unite the nation when you have people like that, especially the Dim Dem leadership, a radical from San Francisco and a radical from NYC. And they've been there for decades. I mean, you couldn't get more establishment than Nancy and Chuck. And if you look at the rest of the Dim Dem field, from Maxine Waters to even people like Michael Moore, I mean, these people have been there for so long, and even the newbies like Beto and Alexandria. I mean, we're talking about airheads, right? So they don't have much going for the Democratic Party, I think. Excuse me, the Democrat Party, right? The Demon Rat Party. But I will tell you that, if you have a binary choice, it's either Trump, America First, and nationalism, or you have the Democrat Party. I mean, they're going to get votes. Even if they don't do anything all day, they're still going to get a lot of votes. Because some people are just left of center. And many people are very left of center. So that's not something that you can avoid. But when it comes to real power, we got the Senate, got the Supreme Court, and we got the presidency, and President Trump will be reelected. But it's not a done deal. I mean, it's going to be ugly, it's going to be a fight, it's going to be a battle, just like 2016. But this time, we're not the underdog, because now we're going to be like a top contender. People really expect Trump to be reelected. And it's dangerous because you can become complacent. As we saw in the midterms, a lot of people dropped the ball, not supporting Trump when they should have. And, on the fringe, supporting other things. It's going to have to be all of us, all hands on deck, if you will, and ready to fight. But if they really go after Trump in these next 2 years in like a heavy way, like impeachment or indictment, even though you cannot indict a sitting president, they will try it. Crossing that line, of course people are going to revolt. Of course. And that is something that is a given. Because it's so outrageous. I mean, these people are getting away with so much. But there is a breaking point where people would just stand up and say, enough is enough. And we usually wait until the elections, but especially the presidential election. But if before that they tried to remove him, so kind of like to clear the stage for any Dim Dem just to go ahead with the support of the establishment to win, people are not going to take it. Because it's about our nation. And removing Trump, it's not about just removing Trump. It's about removing someone that we voted for, millions and millions and millions of people, and someone who's very successful for our nation, that has helped our nation in tremendous ways in just a year and a half, and by then 2 or 3 years. So it is unconscionable to even think about, getting rid of that person in the ways that they imagine. People are not going to stand for it. And there will be a revolt. I mean, that is a given. And I think Dim Dems may know that in leadership. Even though they wish it weren't so, President Trump is going to stay. He's going to be reelected. And that's it. Liberals will just have to find a way to get therapy or to submit to the Trump nation or something else. But they already gave it their best shot, I feel, like with the Muller probe and the SDNY, and they're still doing it. It's still in progress. But really now, if he did anything wrong, by now, we would have known about it. But he did nothing wrong. Did people around him act like greedy, punks? Yeah. I mean, we're talking about some sleazy people. Even Michael Flynn was dabbling in some stuff with Turkey and all of that. It's not, it's not decent, to be honest. But you look at Michael Cohen, Paul Manafort, they're not angels in any way. And you notice that Muller's not going after Kushner or Ivanka, or I think even Don Jr. But I do notice that, dim them's the establishment for decades. They're so used to seeing a puppet submit. Like W. Bush, his second term was like a liberal term. And there you have Bush Sr. telling his son, it's time to become a wussy. I mean, not that he was all that, but, to give in to the left. At the same time, Bush Sr. was getting into the Clinton Foundation, and there's a lot of money going around. But Trump is independent. He's not a puppet. So they want him to submit the way others did in the past. It's not going to happen. They have to submit to the Trump nation. And Trump is a people's president. He's there to do what we want. And that's why he was elected. And that's why he will be reelected. And so I know Democrats feel like they can never really win an election again when you have someone like Trump there. That is because he's not owned by the establishment. He's not controlled. So they fear him. Because it's a direct line from Donald the Great to we the people. And it's almost like the establishment lost their ability to control what happens to our nation and the money. So they feel very upset and angry and giddy. And they're able to really put people up against Trump and to vilify him, to demonize him. But if you really think about it, we didn't do that with Obama. We said he sucks, he's a dummy, or socialism, and it's all true. But, you didn't see Fox News every day saying, Obama's a liar, Obama's a criminal, and Obama's about to be indicted, or... No, you didn't see that. The worst you would see is like, Obama wasn't really truthful about this or that. And it's kind of like more polite and more civilized. But dim-dems, don't expect class from the left, or decency, or humanity. We're talking about salivating rabid, like hyenas, or demon rats. I mean, the worst type of vermin. It's very sickening to see people go down so low as to lose their dignity as human beings. It's really sad. I mean, we're not talking about making fun of Trump's hair, or or he's too obnoxious or whatnot. Fine, these are ordinary criticism, nobody cares. But I mean, we're talking about stage 4 of TTS now, where they're really committing criminal acts, and they're losing their dignity, they're losing their humanity, they're consumed by hatred. But I will tell you that it's the American people out there that see that hypocrisy. Dim-dems are all like for going after innocents, and they protect the guilty. If dim-dems came up and surrendered all these people to us, like take him, and let's start over, or let's make a deal, that would be better. But instead, they double down and they're protecting all these criminals. And by that, you have dim-dems saying that they condone and support corruption in the FBI, corruption in the DOJ, corruption by the Clintons, or the Clinton Foundation, and corruption by the Choco administration. I mean, they're condoning all of that. But hey, these are the same people that are praising MS-13. I mean, we're talking about radicals here. They have no common sense. But for the American people out there, the American people have common sense and a sense of fairness. So when they see everything that's been happening and it's properly exposed, then of course they're going to side with President Trump. And they are. And I feel like all those people that have voted for Trump, they are still with Trump. Why? Because he did nothing wrong. And even though some people left, not many, there were always fake Trump supporters. Because in the last 2, even 3 years, we saw a lot of people being exposed. And I like that. You know, these people cannot make a comeback. Once you've been exposed, that's it. You know, some people will kind of coddle you, but most people are done with these kind of traitors. We don't like traitors. But when it comes down to it, President Trump is by himself in D.C. You have an establishment, you have people in the establishment working with him because he's a president, and it's power, but people want to be near power. But we do need to see prosecutions. And it's not like President Trump ran on, prosecuting certain people, but he did run on law and order, right, and respecting law enforcement. And a part of respecting law enforcement is to respect the rule of law. And if you're for the rule of law and preventing crime and illegal immigration, you also need to support the law in terms of fighting corruption. And even though house cleaning will do a lot, it's not enough. So I feel like some of these people that I mentioned earlier in the video, McCabe, Peter Strzok, James Comey, they have to go down. Even if you have some doubts about Hillary or Choco, at least let's start with the small fries. Because, one element of not going after Choco and Hillary for the time being is Ivanka and the future and his kids. Because you can see that a lot of what Dim-Dems are doing now, part of it is revenge for what happened with the Clinton impeachment, and that's why the Clintons are behind many of these things, like the Muller probe, because they want to take revenge. And Dim-Dems in general want to take revenge. And so if Trump goes after certain people and, puts away James Comey or even Hillary, then they will revenge for the next decades. They will really, they will be so focused on taking revenge that it will be everything. Now imagine instead of Donald Trump, you have Ivanka Trump. Can she go through that storm? The pure hatred every day, day after day for years? I don't think so. I don't think anyone can. But President Trump is really unique. Maybe he wants to protect his daughter. Maybe he wants to accept that challenge and unite the nation and somehow, bring peace. But that can only happen if he gets a second term, right? Because the Dems are going to be insane until 2020. And afterwards, if Trump gets reelected, I don't even know what liberals will do. I can expect that they will try to start a civil war, or they will turn into suicide bombers. You just don't know, because these people are very desperate. But I also feel like the deep state, they have so many things that they can do, like I mentioned, causing a recession even, just to get rid of Trump. It's almost like they know it will happen, and some of these media people are setting the stage for it. I have a bad feeling about it, because I really think that is what they will do. And that is not something that you can tweet about and suddenly everybody knows it's okay. No, we're talking about an actual recession caused by the banks, the media, type of collusion to talk down the Trump economy and then to cause it to go into a recession. And then, of course, everybody will blame Trump. That is really what they're planning. So I'm really concerned about it because it's something you can't really control. Once it gets going, it gets going. And that's what they're trying to do now. They're trying to jumpstart like a kind of avalanche or like a rolling snowball that by 2020 it'll cause a recession. So that's my number one concern right now. Dividends and banks and the IMF and the WTO and even China, everybody trying to cause a recession in the USA to take out Trump. My number two worry is the enemy within traders and the Trump support, and especially in the media. And my third worry is, these failed lawyers, SDNY, Muller, and his gang of Clinton Foundation lawyers. It's still a type of concern, but it's only number 3 in my list. And for the rest, I don't worry about anything else.